name is Bristle, and you're watching Mr. Amir's cartoon class.
Hey everybody, it's me again, Mr. Amir. Thank you again, Bristle. Welcome to today's cartoon classes. Today we are going to be working on our good old friend Afro Samurai. Afro Samurai is an anime that had came out in around like 2006. It has Samuel L. Jackson in it, and I always find that pretty funny because, you know, Samuel is like in everything, but in animated content, he's not there as much. And so to have him be like a serious, realistic character while the anime is going on, it was very fun and pleasant to actually see. So, alright, let's get started on our painting. Alright, so first off, what you're going to do is you're going to start off with his afro. His afro takes up the majority of the painting, and what you'll do is you're going to actually make it how they make it. So what you're going to do first is you're going to make sharp and jagged edge lines, but you're going to dip it down and over this way, dip it down, over this way. So you're just going to make his afro very like fro-y. You know, you don't want to be, you're not going to be so precise with lines because it's just going to be like triangles, but you're going to want to make like the fro part of his hair very like nappy, because in certain aspects it is. In certain parts it comes up, it comes out, bounces around. You know how fros are. If you have a fro, let me know. I wanna see your fro. I wanna see you go. You know. So you're gonna make very fro-like design. Make sure this part comes out. Okay. Because he's got this extra big afro, but the rest of his body is like regular. So you're gonna do the same side on this side. I'm just gonna make these squiggly lines to simulate you're making a very nappy fro. Nappy fro. So, as you guys can see, you guys are starting to get some of this extra big fro on for yourselves. And you'll see, let's not just come down here. And this is where we're going to kind of start his head shape. Alright, so with Afro Samurai, he is the number 2. So in the anime and in the, I believe it's a manga too, it's a story about how Afro Samurai basically is the number 2 guy, and he's trying to find number 1 because his daddy was number 1, and then somebody went and killed his pappy, and then he became number 1, and then that made him number 2, and then he basically kicked people's behind until from becoming number 1 to become number 2. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to give him a hairline, because you want his hairline to kind of come all the way up here so you can do some of his body, because what we're going to do is we're going to try to get like at least a little bit of his body, a little bit of his hands, and then the rest can be fro. The majority of this is going to be fro first. And of course, it's very much like a traditional anime style, but what you're going to do is you're going to make his cheekbones come out, and then you're going to go down like this. So you're going to do that, and then make his cheekbones come out again, and come down like this. Okay, and what you're going to make sure you do is make sure that you give him like this flat, curved, strong chin, because he got that strong chin, boy. Got that strong chin. Let it punch on him, get knocked out. Nope, not me. I'm Afro Samurai. I'll be up after every hit. Okay, so that's how you're gonna basically make his head shape. And what you're going to do is you're going to make his chin, which is this little indent right here. Okay, I hope you guys are following with me. And what you're going to do is, he's like an older man, kind of. I don't think he's that old, but he's definitely like somebody who's seen some stuff. So he has these like real serious, I've been frowning my entire life, wrinkles on his face. And you're gonna make his nose. So his nose comes down and then up like this. And then you're gonna go up and down. You're gonna make 2 parentheses on either side of his nose right here. Alright. Boom. And then what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna just bring this nose up a bit and this side of his nose up a bit. Boom. There you go. You have his nose. His lips, very like just a straight frown because he's not happy. Alright, somebody killed my pappy. And I want to show him what's good. So, you're gonna make his lips right here. You're gonna make the top part of his lips right here. The rest of this joint need to look like a frown. Then you're gonna put another line on this side of his cheek real quick right here. And you guys are gonna move on to his eyes. His eyes are very mad. So you're gonna give him these mad eye shape. You're gonna put a line here and here. It looks kind of like angry. And then you're gonna just put a little triangle on either side. Because he's a very mad person. Because his daddy died. So that's how you're gonna make his eye shape. But you're also gonna give him some little bit of scribble at the top of his eyes. Because guess what? His eyes is more like a shadow. You can't really see his pupils of his eyes because I think he's like one of those characters that you ain't even see his eye shape or nothing. You can't see nothing. You just see anger and vengeance. Okay, so then you're gonna add a little wrinkle right here. All the way down. And you're gonna just do a couple lines here, here, and here. Actually, just do one line here. We're gonna do a line right here. Give him kind of that angry eyebrow look. Give him another right here to fill that out. But this is all going to be filled in with shading later. And with the other eye, you're going to just swoop up this way. And what you do is you'll just complete his fro like this. Alright, and then you're going to give him some ears on either side because you don't want him to be earless. And this, just make sure you keep them both. Make sure both sides have like these strong cheekbones. You don't want them to have weaker cheekbones. And then you'll add his ears. Okay. So you're gonna add some cartilage on that ear. A bit of a bump. Make sure you see. Okay, and then this ear is gonna come up. And a little bit more. Come down this way. I'll give him a little bit more of this curve right here. And so that. I'll give him a couple lines on his cheek. So remember, he is a samurai. So he's been cut many a time. And then what we'll do is we're going to put right in the dead center of his face, this this line is supposed to represent his katana, his sword. As a master swordsman himself, he must bring honor to his family. That's from whatchamacallit, Black Ops 3. If y'all don't remember, back in the day, Black Ops 3 used to be a fire game. You're looking at somebody who, at one point, got #1 in the world in Origins. Oh, a little slight brag, aren't you, Amir? No, because nobody's watching the video game. If you play this video game, so you're gonna make a circle right here. Make sure it's more centered though. Make sure you make the circle within his bandana a little bit more centered. So I'm just gonna give him one here, and a little bit's gonna be behind the sword. We need to make sure that full red circle is centered. You're gonna give his headband some lines, because what's a headband without lines? Okay, you got that. You got his fro, you got his headband. Alright, so his face is essentially done. All you have to do is just add a little bit of darkness here, a little bit of darkness here under his eyes. And when we blend it together, it should look really, really good. You know, all things considering. So, what we'll do is we're going to actually get his nose looking more up here. Come down here. Perfect. That's really looking like him. Alright, so now what you're going to do is you're going to give him his neck. So his neck shape is kind of like this. Alright. We all know how a neck shape looks. It's got a little bit broader. This is a little bit broader. Like this. And the brace was here. Then what you guys are going to do is you're going to make his collar. You're going to pop it up. And you're going to bring it down a little bit, let it curve a bit. And curve one more time. And then you're making little hills and valleys, and you're going to close it up because this is going to be part of his neck. So his neck should end here. His collar should stop there. And then he's going to make his shoulders come out like this. And come down kind of like this. And then have some like ripples here. Because, you know, this is again anime character. So you're gonna just bring his arm out here and his sleeve's gonna end here. Right? And then okay, so you guys have this nice skinny sword. Okay. So, here. And add some ruffles here. And some points here. Some triangles. And all anime really is all these extra freaking lines to create extra detail within the drawings or what have you. And the reason why is because the more lines you add, the more detail it kind of comes out. I'm gonna add some more hills and valleys here. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring this out, bring this down, this is gonna be the start of his sleeves. You're gonna give it a little bit of 3-dimension. And then you're gonna bring his arm up. Sadly, can't do too much with his arm because it's so far low. But I'm gonna get bigger paintings. When we can do bigger paintings, like, comment, and subscribe, by the way. You know, when we do bigger paintings, we will be able to, you know, get more full body length or what have you. But at the moment, we only got these little small joints, so what I can do is either show you guys a full body of a simple character, or show you, you know, as much as I can of a complex character. So after you make his arms and you make all his veins, these are all his little muscles and veins. Then you're going to work on this neck portion. So this neck actually has 2 large veins. 1 and 2. Okay. And then you're gonna add some collar. This collarbone starts here. This collarbone starts there. You're gonna give him some more veins here and here. Nice and skinny veins that resemble kind of what you're looking for. Just nice triangle piece right here. Some lines. And look at that, now you got this extra veiny neck. See that? Boom. So you guys have his face, have his neck, and what you'll do is his body. So his body has this line right here, his chest has got a line right here and here. And of course on the other side he has that same popped collar situation that you had on the other side, but it's a little bit less. And then you come down right here, but you want to make sure that this collar is a little bit up. You know, make sure the collar's up a bit. And then comes down, out, over, and then you add that secondary line that comes down till where it comes out. And you just come all the way down here. Okay. And then you put a triangle here. You're gonna give his ripples of his shirt, which is these nice irregular shapes, and you're gonna just squiggle it through, because this is what his sleeve is gonna look like. Alright, and then you're just gonna put a little bit of an arm right here. Let me go a little bit bigger. And add some of those veins we were talking about on the arm. So now he's got this little extra veiny arm. Where his bicep's supposed to be. Alright. So now you have his arms, you have his, essentially his fit. And you're just gonna come up. Over here. So that's his sleeve. You guys should have his body already outlined. And then what you're going to do is just do his collar, which from over on this side is just coming all the way down, because you're going to see some bare chest action. Some of that bare chest action. Huss! 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 Bare chest. Cool. So after you guys have that bare chest going on, then what you'll do is you're gonna put a break right here. Right. And then you're just gonna a little bit there, a couple lines here, here, here. This is gonna be his pectorals. And of course you're gonna And then what you'll do is you're gonna put a triangle over here, a small triangle up here. Alright, and then I'm gonna add some lines here, here. What you'll do is you're gonna add some lines on this side too. Because I wanna make sure that all the lines here look like kind of like an anime robe. Yeah, some lines here and here, some lines here. And then what you'll do for his collar is his collar comes all the way down, but you're gonna just make his collar very jagged in the edges. But it's gonna come down to the same point right here, and then you're gonna come back up. You're gonna make these jagged edges for his collar on this side. Okay, and then what you'll do is you'll add some more lines here. What we'll do is we'll add some more triangles. We'll add some curved triangles up here. Add some curved triangles up here. Do something over here. Over here. Then you're gonna add some cloth that will present as flowy. What you'll do is you'll have a triangle here, and some here, and you're gonna place this on here. Alright, and you guys should be done with your outline momentarily. Okay, that should be it. So this is the first part of drawing Afro Samurai. I'm just gonna now this down here. This line. So this line is really going to be your breakup between each portion. And you got to make sure that you have the sleeves to look kind of sleeve and this way. Perfect. All right. So right now this is your outline, guys, and you guys can clearly see it just looks like his face and then a bunch of lines. But once you paint them in, those lines will become guiding points for you. So when you're shading, you know exactly where to kind of like put those types of expression lines out here, okay? Understand? I hope everybody got that. I'll be back right after we outline the piece. Okay, I'm actually gonna come up just real quick. Up on the shoulder too, because we want him to have a little bit of that scary presence on both ends of his shoulders. And that's it. Perfect. Now that looks like a samurai from Afro Samurai. Great. Hey everybody, we're back again. Because I could not find a black marker that would suffice, I'm basically using it to paintbrush. So if you cannot find a marker, use a brush and hope and pray that your line work is amazing. Because that is exactly what I'm going to do. Hope and pray my line work is amazing. Alright, so what you guys are going to do is you're just going to outline the character that we were working on, first part of the episode. Outline all the lines that you see there with your brush. Make sure your lines are nice and thin, so get your thinnest brush to do your outlines, because the larger your brush is, the more likely it is you will mess up on your outline. And so everything now becomes a lot harder because if you were to outline with a marker, it wouldn't be such a big deal because you're gonna cover it up with paint. But now that you're basically outlining with paint instead of outlining with the marker. Everything's gonna be paint. So make sure you catch every single line without fail. Because if you don't, you'll be screwed for life. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to make these lines thin but precise so it can translate when I fill in the painting. You know, people are gonna ask me, Amir, so you're basically talking to yourself at the moment, painting, and what for? Big truth is the reason why I'm doing this is genuinely because I just want people to learn how to paint. You know, I have been teaching for years, and to be quite honest with you, I've been teaching art for years, shall I say. And I have, you know, had some success working for the school districts and doing like different programs and projects with the schools. But it seems as though where we are heading as a society, as well as around education, is school does not care if you are interested in art at all. And our school systems will continue to not care if you have any types of interest in art. I'm like, I've come to realize that like a lot of these systems don't take art seriously and don't want art to be taken seriously. I have no clue or reason why they do so, but to be quite honest with you, I just think that maybe it's AI now, or maybe it's like just how the world works or whatever, I don't know. But to me, it's important to understand that art has its place in the world, as it should be. You know, art should have a place in the world. It should be a main staple. But we as humans have become less and less interested in the quality of art and what art means. And now we're sitting in a space and a time period where we think that art is created by robots and machines and AIs or whatever. And I'm like, bro, how many years did it take me to learn just how to paint in general to a standard that I just feel as though I like? It took me freaking years to get there. And still to this day, I still feel like, all right, I'm still learning, you know, and you're still going to continue to learn. Majority of the things that I talk about, like artistically, a lot of them are not professionally, like, professional words. Like, shade with feeling. Like, who does that? You know, like, let's be real here. Like, I'm just painting and explaining step by step what I'm doing, you know, to help you guys understand how to paint, you know. But the main thing to me is like we need more authenticity in the world and more artists and more people who want to create. And if people are losing their jobs and college degrees are not being as useful as they used to be, the basic thing is either you want to learn how to do a trade or a skill, which I never will knock. I believe every trade and skill is an art form, but just not shown directly how to be done. But, you know, as you guys are watching, most of the pieces that you're watching me do are like 8 like are about 16 by 20-inch canvases. And the largest piece I've ever done is about 200 feet. So, I will say that it is a thing of, like, how can you get yourself better at something to where you can do a project of a magnificent size and scale that you wouldn't really imagine yourself doing in the slightest, honestly. You know, there's been many a times where I felt as though, like, I could have never imagined painting large scale murals, you know, but it was a part of the plan. I wouldn't have ever imagined that I would be able to try to sit on a camera and teach people how to paint. But it seems where things are going. You know, there are a lot of things that you don't expect to do as an artist, but you just have to do because guess what? The world's not going to really make a way for you to do what you love. So you have to like figure out, all right, how am I going to do what I love without really having the support system that I need to do it. And the best thing that I'll say to do is just start. You know, just start and keep going. I've been at this artistic journey for 7 years. And though I've done some really cool projects and some really cool things, I've been able to make my own AR book, you know, books, plural, animated pilot and everything. But majority of the time that I've been doing stuff for these last couple of years, I have not seen anything from it. So, it is a long game. And I wouldn't say I didn't see anything from it. I would say I just saw things that did not help me immediately in the long run. So now I'm just like, whatever works, you know, artistically. What I just want to do is, to be quite honest with you, is just paint and teach people how to paint. And if I could teach people how to paint, that would be awesome to do for a living for the rest of my life. You know, that is something that I want to do more than anything in the world, is just get people interested in art for a long period of time. You know, it's always kind of been my goal, honestly. It's always been my goal to just make art accessible for everybody. At first, what I did was, when I was like 20 years old, right when the pandemic started, I was like 21 actually. Well, when I was 20, I'll actually start here. I'll start out with this story first. When I was 20, I live in New York, by the way. I live in New York City. I live near New York City, and I go into the city every day. So when I was about 19 years old, I decided in like 2019 to start just like, or 2018, to start going outside and trying to sell my paintings just in general. And boy, oh boy, it was not good. Like, the first time I started to try to sell my paintings was directly on the street. I would get a nice little blanket or sheet out. I'd go out to like 42nd Street. I used to like lay my paintings down on this floor, and I said to people, "Hey, I got paintings for sale, $20." Because at the time, $20 did something for you. $20 today wouldn't even buy me a train ticket home. Yeah, I was really just hitting people up like, "Yo, you wanna buy some art? Yo, you wanna buy some art?" yo, you want to buy some art? And so throughout for those years, that first year, I was really just hitting people up being like, yo, you want to buy my art on the street? And I did that for about like a year and a half, and then the pandemic happened, and I was like, oh, I'm not just sitting on the street and, trying to sell art because there's not going to be anybody outside. And thankfully, I was doing that on the weekends at first, and then I was working a factory job during the week. And every day I got off of the factory job, I'd take myself to the city, and I'd try to sell my paintings. And then one day, I got laid off because of the pandemic, thankfully. And I decided, alright, I got unemployment, I'm unemployed at the moment, I don't have nothing else to do, I'm in the house all day, it's a global pandemic. So I was like, alright, how do I get my art to the people? How do I get my stuff for people to see originally just in my local place in New York? But at the time, there was plywood up throughout the entire protest of 2020, and I had the bright idea of being like, yo, why don't I just go outside and start painting on these abandoned plywood? Nobody told me that it was going on, and nobody even told me that it was like a thing that people were trying to do, because it wasn't at the time. Like originally it was like maybe I went out there and maybe I saw like one or two, but most people, I didn't even know people were even trying to paint up in the street at that time. So at first I had met I met a security guard who was working at security at Nike in Soho. Name was I'm gonna just name him D in this scenario because I don't know if he would want to be featured on the video or not. So I met D and the rest of his crew of security guards, and at first I painted on a piece of plywood that was off the building. I was just painting or whatever. I did my painting and I dipped off and left because I was like, alright, I don't want nobody to see me. And I left it on there. And the security guard ended up like screwing it up on the wall. And I was like, and then somebody tagged me on a post. And I said, yo, what? And I saw that people would like literally just had put my piece up on the wall, on the piece of plywood that I left on the side. And I was like, oh, okay, somebody screwed it in. It fit the building and the door and everything perfectly. So somebody screwed it in, and then I came out again and I was like, yo, it's cool if I paint over here? Because I asked the security guard. He was like, yeah, man, I'm the one who put your stuff up. I said, oh, word? So once he put my work up and like showed my piece off, I basically decided, all right, I'm gonna just keep painting outside. People were really into what I was doing. My style was very simplistic, but I was able to bang out a bunch of them at a time. And I was able to like get, I don't know, give or take about 50 or 60 pieces done within the time span of a summer. And at that time, I had met some of my best artistic friends and basically fam at the time. Met Brendan, who was basically my art mentor. Met Sule, was a very great friend, helps me on projects to this day. Constance, who I, have great respect for and love what she's doing for her work, as well as Trevor Croop, and along with Trevor and Manny and KG, These guys helped me with other things. KG helped me with AR projects in the future. Manny helped me with some other projects in the future. And Trevor helped me on some or something like this. I don't know. But essentially, you know, we built out an artist collective from just painting outside and getting to know each other and doing those types of things, and basically became a tight-knit group in those pandemic years. It was a good way to spend my early 20s, you know, trying to figure out, all right, how does this art scene work? And funny enough, I was able to get to very high places where I thought I would never have gotten to doing my art that way. But what I came to find out over time is a lot of people within the art scene, or within arts in general, in New York, it's a very much a popularity game, and to see who's most popular at the time and what message they're trying to give at the time. I mean, at the time, period, I was a 21-year-old black child, or black adolescent, or whatever. Or should I say, not adolescent, I was 21, so young adult, I'll say. So I was a young black, young adult. And I was just trying to spread the message of how I felt throughout my pieces on the plywood. Because, you know, they were killing our folks out there. And not only that, I also felt like, you know, it's the first time I can actually say how I felt at the time about my characteristics, my race, my ethnicity, how I personally felt as a young black man in America at the time. And so I felt like, you know, I was just trying to say what I believed in at the time. And I realized over a couple years, you know, as soon as the message didn't, you know, fit the program anymore, neither did I. And so people didn't really, the art world wasn't really looking for me to do more art worldy things and be a part of the art world, because what I had been doing previously before that, it became my whole existence of what I was doing, or my whole existence of who I was. And I was like, bro, you're not gonna pigeonhole me as like just, you know. Alright, so we're gonna finish up painting his nice beautiful shirt, outlining, shall I say, his nice beautiful shirt, and make sure we get all these in, because we got one more character to do today, and then we're gonna go home to our wife. Alright, so ideally, if I had a marker, I would have did this at marker, but you know, it might be more impressive to see somebody do it in a paintbrush, because sometimes you guys are able to see somebody just outline stuff in marker and be like, oh, that's easy. But when you're outlining stuff in paint, it is not as easy. And we're making sure that each part and each line has been illustrated for you guys. It's outlined perfectly. You get paint all over your hands as well, because, you know, you're outlining and you're dipping it in paint so many times that the paint ends up like going all over the place sometimes, and it doesn't look that great. But if you really keep those lines thin, it looks better than if you outlined it in marker, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So when you become a pro and you feel like you can outline and brush, it's much recommended. Maybe I should do this more with the advanced classes, because you guys are on your way to pros, right? You guys are becoming nice artistic pros, aren't you? Right? So you should be outlining things in a paintbrush if you're a pro. Huh? Are you a pro? Alright. And this is how I'll show you guys how to become number one. You want to become the number one? Show you how to become the number one. Just gotta take your time, practice. Get every line that you drew. Do not let one escape you. Okay. Keep outlining. Alright, now just his neck is left. Once I finish his neck, we're gonna let this bad boy dry for a little bit. So all the outlined pieces or whatever are already settled. Alright, so you guys are essentially done with the outline. Just close the sleeve up a bit. Okay. So you're done with the outline, and then the next part after this will end up being doing the shading. So for right now, we're going to let our paint dry and we'll return once we are ready to shade. Alright guys, so welcome back. What we're going to do is we are going to start doing our shading portion. So for the shading portion, what we're going to do is we're going to add our light grays in first, because this project is going to be one of blending and knowing where to blend. So we're going to add all of our lighter portioned colors first. So we're going to do these lighter grays. And most of your color palette with coloring this character in will be in gray. Main reason why is because certain parts of the anime is in gray. So I'm going to just add these darker grays and these lighter grays, and you're just going to blend them together. Throughout the face while you're shading character name. I learned a lot about mixing and blending colors while working on that mural project I had mentioned earlier, because each one of those colors on the mural, which I'll show on the screen some point in time, yeah, a lot of those had to be individually mixed with their own pigments. So I had to learn a whole lot of different types of blending and color theory while painting, because we only had a certain amount of supplies and we could only do a certain I'm like, we couldn't go over budget whatsoever. Go over budget came out of my pocket, and I was not trying to have that happen, I'm not gonna lie. You know, buckets of paint and, you know, all the sealants and all that stuff. That was important, but making sure that I had to, you know, do all this stuff to make sure that the characters or the people that were being shown on the mural for my boy Brendan to paint, yeah, those had to be right. Because if they weren't right, I don't know what we would have done, to be quite honest with you. So when you're shading colors, sometimes some colors be the most important thing. You know, if you don't have the right tone and you don't have the right hue, you could really mess up a piece. And the character won't even look like the character's supposed to look like, or the person is supposed to look like. If you have the wrong shades of gray, or black, or white, or yellow, it doesn't matter the color. You get the wrong shades, the character's gonna come out looking wrong. But if you have the right shades and you blend them together and you make a nice little blended piece, a finely blended piece, or what have you, you know, things will turn out alright. And so you're gonna leave that part below his eyes a little bit open, because the thing is that those eyes are actually just shaded in two different shades of black. One, like, once you get deeper into his eyes, it gets that dark black. Once you get that little below his eye, it's gonna be, it's like bluish black color, you know. But what you're gonna do is make sure that everything stays within this grayscale. And you don't want to miss a single line. Lines are important. And those lines are important for the way your character has to look. Alright, tell me why the lines are important. They say the lines is important to say make sure you don't get rid of those. You get rid of those, you get rid of the formation. You know, that's the hardest thing about painting, is not messing up your lines, because if you do, you basically messed up the whole thing. Alright, you gotta be gentle and you have to be light when you're painting. You cannot have a heavy hand. If you do, you'll have to soften it up or figure out ways to soften it up. My thing is, I usually have a heavy hand, you know, but when it comes to painting, my joint like a feather in the wind, because I'm like, yo, mess up one line, it ain't looking like this, it's looking like poo. Be like, does it look like you? Nope, it look like poo. So you want to make sure that you always have your shading down, and just make sure that when you're shading on the inside, you're shading within the line set that you set for yourself. If you don't, you're just messing with your own lines. And that's never good. Okay. Just gonna shade that in. You want to make sure that these lines still kind of show. Because remember, it's anime, this isn't lines showing anime, this isn't realism. If I was going for photorealism, you would know. I wouldn't even show any lines. But I love the lines. The lines is good. They're good for you, they're good for me, they're good for everyone. Just gotta make sure you blend it right. Alright, so you can add a little bit of these lighter lines. I'm gonna add some of these lighter tones into it and blend it with the darker tones. You know? So you have those definitions and those highlights that you would put yourself. You don't want it all to be the same. You want it to look kind of shadowed and flawed. I wouldn't even say flawed, I just would say shadowed. You want it to be shadowed and you want it to have different shades of gray. You know, like, there's a saying. There's an actual saying that says, life is not black and white. It's just shaded with all different sorts of gray. I messed the quote up like horrifically, but it's something like that. You know, like, I know that I just told you guys straight falsehoods because I did not know the quote by heart. But if I did, I would have told you the right one, the right version. But here I go again with my rambling. Going on the mic as if though y'all cared about knowing that. Alright, so guys should have, make sure you put a dark highlight on the edge of his cheeks with this light portion. See, look at that. See how adding like a little bit of shading into it and adding like a little bit of color, color variation into his face makes his face look more realistic. Why? Because that's just how colors work, son. You can't explain colors. I can't explain colors. I don't even know how half of this works, but I know that there's mad different hues of gray. And when you add one hue of gray with another hue of gray with another hue of gray, it really just it puts you in a place where, alright, I got what I need. See, he got his lips now. Okay, he's looking serious. He got the darkest lips, you know what I'm saying? Lips is. Ooh, excuse me, I just burped. On camera. On stream. See his lips come out like that. Okay, add a little bit of time, add a little bit of gray here. Not like gray. See, and just adding different shades, like, highlights the little things you just added. Like, if I ain't had that little light gray right there, boom, I wouldn't have as much of an indent in his chin. You know? Adding a little dark gray on top of that, just to blend them together. So I make it look straight. Nice. It looks professional. Boom. Now you guys have his face, basically. All you gotta do is his eyes left. Now you gotta do his neck. So make sure that when doing his neck, you do the same thing you did with his face. You're gonna add different shades of gray and blend them together. Okay. And just make sure you keep those lines posted up there when you're doing it. You don't want to get rid of any lines. You want to keep all lines there, able to be shown through Like you add them different shades of gray, it really look like you're shading in a person's face. And boom. All you gotta do is just dodge the lines. You just weaving lines, yo. You just weaving lines. Weave, stupid. Weave that line. You feel me? I would never not weave the line a day in my life. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to see something. Hey, I'm trying to see something. Hey, I'm trying to see something. Hey, see something. Hey. It's facts. No, this is looking really good, guys. Hope yours is turning out very similar. I hope you were following along throughout the process. Just being able to see how we can knock these characters down. So, you probably are wondering, okay, you could basically paint majority characters. Why? Well, if you spent majority of your childhood in front of Cartoon Network, Toonami, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, and every single other cartoon ever known to man, you would probably know how to paint exactly like me too. And because guess what? When you're watching those things day and night, every day, eventually one day you're gonna be like, yo, can I draw? Cause I'm not gonna lie, I'm seeing that these is moving drawings, which I didn't know at first. Like, it took me a while to know that, wait a second, this is a drawing that's just moving together. Like, when I found out that animation was just moving drawings, because at first, you, as a kid, you thinking, oh, it's just magic on the screen. Nope, just moving drawings you're watching. I used to think, yo, that's so cool. You know, I used to think it was kind of like a magical process that only a very few number of people knew. Which is still, I feel, is the case. You know, it's a magical process. But it was always a dream of mine after figuring out that you can make an animation, was to make an animation. But at the same time, I also realized when they tell you what goes into animation, they kind of tell you also that it takes a team to do it. And when you figure out that it takes a team to do the thing that you wanted to do all your life or whatever, you're like, oh shoot, I really can't do that at the moment because I need a whole team. But even that is a falsehood in itself, because you can do it, it just is not going to be at the quality of show that you want it to be. And you just have to figure out how to do it yourself at first, get the concept out there, and just let people try to grasp on day by day. You know, that's what I did with Cryptoverse. Like, of course, I did it all by myself, did my voice acting myself, did the whole thing myself. And main reason why is because you don't have funding. I don't have funding, at least. If you have funding to make an animated show, then by all means do so. But if you by yourself, you better get to cutting paper and learning how to draw. You know? And so, at first it took me like a couple of years to actually learn how to animate, learn how to, you know, squash and stretch, learn all the different aspects of creating an animation. What's the animation pipeline? How long does it take to create an animated video? And I was just like, bro, I love animation dearly. Like, if you ask me, I would love to work for a studio, for them to just hire me up and say, yo, we watched your videos, we want to green light your show. If they were to say, hey, yo, let's green light this show that this young dude just made, I would make it 100%. I'd have so many caveats. I'd be like, yeah, I'd love to make my show. Yes, definitely, I'll take your money, but I'll be like, can it be all traditionally animated? And that's going to be part of the thing that will probably be like, oh, that, I don't know if we could do that. Because even if it's like, I I can traditionally animate, and I know how to, and I can even teach people how to do it. It's just up to if a studio is going to choose to give you the money to make that a reality. And most likely, if you are somebody who has absolutely no former, like, existing career, or even if you do, like, if you have a really good resume, they still not gonna take you. You could have the best resume in the world, they will not take your resume of whatever projects you've done in your time period, because that means that they're trying to put a whole show behind you. And if you don't know no studio people and you don't have like the right connections, you're just not gonna have it. It's just not gonna happen for you. And even if you create the show and people pick and the studios decide to pick it up, because it's picked up doesn't mean that they have the obligation to actually create your show. Like most recently, you see that Rebecca Sugar from Steven Universe tried making a whole show with somebody from homeboy from, I don't know if it was I think he's from the Owl House. Guy upgraded the Owl House or something like that. I don't know if it was the Owl House or it was Amphibia, from the writer of Amphibia and Rebecca Sugar from Steven Universe. They both worked on trying to get a pilot and the show greenlit and made or whatever. And recently they was like, yeah, that show is not coming out. And I'm like, bro, these guys already have established shows and they not greenlighting their shows. So what do you think they're gonna do to me? I am not an established IP. I am not an established person. I am not even a part of their establishment. So how in the world am I going to get my show on air and have them take it seriously? Like, joint is going to be canceled faster than they canceled anything else in the world. I mean, shoot. Just imagine you come in there thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna make me a show, and then they like, make a show of what exactly? A show of hands? Alright, show of feet? No, we don't got none of that show that you're looking for. Yeah, we don't have any show that you're looking for. You're trying to make a show. But even if it's like, I also would love studios to just take the risk of it don't even have to be my show, just take the risk of making a traditionally animated feature again. Like imagine all the people who were addicted to traditional animation without an iPad, without any of it, and just learning how to do stuff with their bare hands. That was the magic of Disney. I really feel like they lost their magic once they got rid of traditional animation. Because the magic was the fact that it had that humanistic quality to it. Now everything looked like the AI Pixar joint that y'all see on the AI things. And now you're making your characters like that, you're not really stylizing like that. And you're really just following what 3D models is made and everything. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate 3D animation, I use it myself too. But like, at the same time, it doesn't mean that another art form should die because one art form is more popular. You know what I mean? So you guys should have his face looked at. Face is looking good. Bong. Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to do his eyes. Some more black. So the bottom part of his eyes. top of his eyes, you need to look somewhat like this. Make it real black. His eyes. You see how you have his eyes turn? I'll bring this one over that one. Boom. Okay. Blend these two together. Make sure his eyes are evened out in a sense. Right there, boom, boom. Even though it's all black, it is very hard to make sure that your character is 100% even. Alright, and then you're gonna add his hair. So his hair is all black. Just want a little bit black right here. You're gonna go in circles so you have that froey effect. And you just shade it in. You might want to do 2 layers of this, actually. Again. We're filling out his fro. Starting to become something, guys. About to start to become something. What we're going to have to do is now add those little shadows in his suit. His kimono, shall I say. Getting that fro in. No. We will patch that up afterwards. You see that right there? That's what we call spillage. You don't want spillage. That's not what you want. You want to be kind of precise and perfect, but even me, make mistakes sometimes, and I have spillage. So I will cover up the spillage once the spillage dries. But even if I'll put a background over it, so you guys will not have spillage just like that in your video or near a painting. You want to be very careful with your creating your painting. Thankfully, the spillage actually came off not in the background instead of in his gi. Because if it popped up in his gi, I'm not gonna lie to you, we could have ended the video right there. Because it's just gonna be too hard. I'm going to have to call you back. I'm really gonna have to call you back. Finish out his fro. Finish out that fro. Alright. Should be good. That now you got his face, his fro. Now all you gotta do is shade in his gi. Okay. Alright, so guys, you're gonna go over your outline lines over just to make sure that you get every single detail in. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna add like little lines on the sides of his face and stuff. A lot of these animes have these like little scratchy lines that make the character more detailed, and so sometimes you want to just add but you want to be so light with these lines. I mean, bro, you just dab that piece of brush on there a little too hard, it look like you got a little ink spot on your freaking face. You know what I'm saying? You want to add these little lines. It's very light, gentle lines. You want to be gentle because you are caressing the piece. You are the piece caresser, right? So you can add some more of those lines, those indent lines that you had before. Go over his chin. I'm really gonna outline these characters. Do the same thing with Nero, small baby lines, baby lines, baby lines, baby lines, baby lines. Not too much, not too much. I'm not gonna give it too much. Okay. This just gives it a little bit of definition on the lines. Of course, everybody's piece is going to turn out differently. We paint different. We're not the same. None of us are the same. Not one of us are the same. We are all different, and that's the beauty of being human, is the fact that we are all different. So when we paint, we're all going to paint differently. Though we making the same thing, mine's not going to look like somebody else's. And somebody else's is not going to look like mine. Because guess what? We are all different in this beautiful world we call life. But it doesn't mean that we can't make the same characters and try to teach each other to do so. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm teaching you guys how I make the character. This is how I make Afro Samurai. You know, so somebody else may have a better way of doing it, but I don't know. You probably do. But you You're not watching them. You're watching me. You know, if they know how to, please, I suggest you make videos on how to make characters better. Because I feel like there's not enough painting tutorials. I mean, of course, there's like your basic how to paint a character, but usually a lot of times when they do that, they don't start from finish. They don't do start to finish like we do over here. We want to see start to finish. We want to see these raw qualities of videos, and we want to see everybody do the work that they're trying to do. Some great content, you know, because everybody wants things to be real now. And so, now that we do want everything to be real, let's do that. You know, let's try to show people how to make the real, how to create the real, how to be a part of the real. Because the real is the best part of us, you know? I don't think you have humanity without the real. Perfect. This face is basically done. Just gonna add a couple lines on this cheek, this chin right here. Perfect. So this fish should look pretty good at this point. Okay, now all you guys are gonna do is fill in that background, or fill in that gi. To fill in his gi, you're gonna need to use a lot more of those light whites and lighter colors, because a lot of it is just you're adding a little bit of this light shadow to the piece you already got here. So you're gonna add some shadow here. The shadow don't have to be too dark. Shadow will be like this color. So it's a little bit of shadow right here. Just gonna add some shadow over here. Some dark shadows over here. Something over here. Something right here. Something right here. This is the darkest your shadow's gonna get. You're not gonna get anything darker than this. You guys are just going to add color. Add that gray. Because the gray, these light grays, these are what we call the shadows. These are the shadows. Let it come out of the shadows. All the forms of gray come out of the shadows. Show us who you are. So add some gray here. Add some of the gray here. Some of the gray here. Do the same thing over here. Add here. Here. All it is just some grays. After you add the grays, you're going to add the whites to blend it in. Because these grays are just here for blending. This dark brown on the inside of his sleeve, and then mix with some of these light grays, of course. Okay, so that's good. You guys are gonna add just a white. I'm trying to get it as white as possible, shall I say. Some more hues and shadows. I'm going to dissipate a little bit. Just gonna have ghee. So you see the white lines there. Just shading in with this. You can make sure that the entire thing is blended correctly. Every mark is missed. Will be shaded in white. We have different hues. We have the darker hues, we have the lighter hues in his key. It's all part of this grayscale. Everything is a part of this grayscale. The sleeve, his face, everything. All you need is black and white. Nothing else. Because the black and white gonna do it all for you. Gonna do it right all up for you. Because the different hues and the shading makes it look really good. Makes it look concise, makes it look very professional. You know, it's very fun to paint. And if you guys are new to painting, if you're not new to painting, hopefully if you're new to painting, you're not watching the advanced classes. Alright, don't be skipping steps and going to the advanced classes when you haven't even done the basics yet. Alright, buddy? I want you to go over there, learn how to draw Bluey first. Go learn how to do Craig of the Creek. Do all the easier based paintings first before you start getting to trying to paint Afro Samurai and whatnot. I don't know nobody who goes and tries to jump to expert level and they ain't even finished the beginner classes yet. Alright, so after you finish doing your beginner class reps, and you can come over here where the advanced people be coming at in these these long formed videos. Alright, but if you are new to painting, please go to the beginner classes. It is very much more beneficial for you to learn that way, as well as it's easier for me to explain the shapes to you instead of this one where it's me explaining to you line by line and there's less shapes when you get to the line type of drawings. All you're just doing is put a line here, put a line there, put a line here, put a line there. Now, if it was like, if it was a beginning tutorial, it's more like shapes. I'd be like, put a circle here, put a circle there, put a square there, put a circle here, and then you'll finish it out with another circle and square there, and then you're done. Which is fine. It's not bad. Like, listen, because you're a beginner doesn't mean that, you're bad. You're just starting off and you're trying to get better. So I want you to get better, guys. I just want you guys to get better. I just want you guys to get better so we can make art together and be best friends. Okay? Can you be my best friend? No, you can't? Well then, forget you then. You wasn't even cool anyway. Okay. Another question that I've been getting lately about the videos is, who am I talking to? Well, I'm talking to you, the lovely viewer. Of course, it sounds like I'm just talking to myself, but most of these things are pre-thought out to, explain to you guys previously before we even start the class. Because it is very important to me that you guys get some engaging, entertaining content while you're watching me paint. I don't want you guys just painting and being like, well, I'm kind of bored because he's just painting and not saying a single word. No, I'm going to talk. I'm going to say something. I'm trying to say something. Wait, I'm trying to say something. Wait, I'm trying to say something. Wait. I'm sorry, guys. I have like memes that just run through my head. And I don't know if you know the guy with the dreads and the hat, and he be going around and he be messing with people of the Caucasian variety. And I think it's so funny because he just goes up and he's like, "Can I touch your hair?" And it reminds me of like when I was a kid. Well, there used to be people when I was in school always asking, "Amir, can we touch your hair? Amir, can we touch your hair?" Because I went to a private school when I was in middle school. And so they would always ask me if they could touch my hair. And I'm like, bro, you don't ask none of the other kids if you could touch their hair. Like, I don't ask none of y'all. And if I asked them, "Can I touch your hair?" it was always a thing of, why do you want to touch our hair for? Our hair is nothing special. We wanted to touch your hair because it's interesting. I'm like, what makes my hair interesting over what your hair is? Hair is hair. Is that not the case, or am I missing something here? But kids don't understand what they're doing when they children. But when I see the dude on Instagram doing it, I think it's so funny because I'm like, they probably looking like, "Why are you touching my hair?" I'm like, "Because you touched our hair as kids." Like, well, we learned that it wasn't good to do. Well, you should. Some people don't. Some people don't. I'm not gonna lie. Like, some people don't learn to not do things that may seem like microaggressions to us, but it's just regular. They just thinking, hey, This seems cool. Why don't I try it? Let me see how that works. Because I don't think every single encounter that involves race is ever like something of like I intentionally want to like be like have malintent towards you. I'm like, no, I don't view it kind of like that. I kind of view it as a point of like a lot of people are misinformed about all cultures, my culture, everybody's culture. Just people are just misinformed in culture in general, and because we are such a misinformed society, sometimes we do things and we don't even know that what we're doing is offensive to another race, another person, and we just do it anyway because we low-key just want to know the answer to whatever we're trying to solve at the moment in time, but not really thinking of what are people's real intentions on doing certain things. Alright.
There you go, guys. That's basically it. I'm gonna go over the lines once more.
I'm also gonna add some red to his bandana because his bandana has red to it. So I'll be right back to add the red and to basically outline for the last time. Alright guys, so the last couple things we're gonna add is we're gonna add some red for the circle inside the bandana because that's the only one that has color. Okay. And you guys are gonna just shade in the blade real quick. Just gonna be one nice long silver line. Clean silver line. So all you gotta do is just add this silver line all the way down. For this blade. And very gentle because you already shaded it and everything else. You don't want to make any mistakes towards the end. Okay, so then should have his blade down here. Okay, so you're gonna just add some red, white, gray. Here. His bandana. Do one right there. Just with the white, fill these up with the white real quick, so it's evened out. Pure Afro Samurai. Alright, I'm gonna do some extra light outlines in black on his gi. And once I finish this little light outlines in black on his gi, then you guys are fully complete. Alright, you tell me how the process went for you, how everything went, how you like painting, what you learned new from this episode, what things you like that I talked about today, you know, what other things that you want to pursue in your artistic career in the future. Mention these all in the comments. I want to know more about you guys. Whoever's watching these videos, it could be one person, it could be nobody. You know, but if you are watching, you are somebody who has been watching and has been following along and trying to comprehend what I'm trying to do artistically. Are you finding these videos helpful? Are you finding it entertaining? Am I good background noise to speak about? These are all questions that I just am kind of wondering. When I paint these paintings, I'm like, I know I'm talking a lot. How are you guys enjoying it? You know? Leave a comment down below. Tell me how much you enjoy these art classes from Mr. Amir. Couple extra outlining lines, guys. You guys are bearing with me. It's gonna be a nice, juicy video for you guys. Nice little almost 2 hour joint. Got about an hour and 50 something minutes. You know, you guys get to paint with me. Using up all my storage on the camera though. We'll see that much. I'm gonna have to delete y'all in a second. Once I finish uploading. But aside from that, you know, this is fun. I had a good time. I hope you guys did too. Sometimes telling some characters. Showing lines. Just doing the process. It can just be fun. I hope that more people like myself are trying to show the process and let folks know about art. Because it is a very therapeutic but also a very fun way to, you know, do your passions. And if you're not into cartooning, you can do many different other art forms. There's an endless amount of them. Endless amount of them. Good. Alright guys, Afro Samurai. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the very next video. Peace. Alright guys, if you guys enjoyed painting Afro Samurai, please like, comment, and subscribe. As well as I want to let you guys know that every week that we finish our advanced portion, our beginner portion, and our intermediate portion, we will be showing off last week's painting and seeing how the finished product with background looks. So for the advanced portion, we had Jabber from last week, and so the Jabber that we have today is the finished version. So if you guys want to purchase the pieces, they're available on my website, link in the description, and here you go. Voila. This was a really fun piece to make. I added some of the trash giants that are part of the show, as well as made my own little sky background and sand, and very impressionistic in way of painting or whatever. My favorite thing to do is always the backgrounds, because I'm like, how can I take the character and put them in an environment that would be really cool to see? So that's Jabber for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you. Peace.